Hey y'all, welcome back to yoloTX. So we all know that Texas has a rich history, a history that comes with lots of amazing stories. Like for example, did you know that up until 1945, a ton of folks in Fredericksburg actually spoke German? Well, our next destination offers a one-of-a-kind look at this very unique part of our past, explaining once and for all why a little German town called Fredericksburg ended up smack in the middle of the Texas Hill Country. This is Fredericksburg, Texas, a charming city that has a little something for everyone, and it's also home to an incredibly rich history. And if you want a glimpse of one of the most fascinating times in Texas state history, well, this is definitely the place at the Pioneer Museum. First up, we get the lay of the land from Evelyn.
Pioneer Museum has been under the umbrella of the Gillespie County Historical Society since 1935. And people kept wanting a memorial to the pioneers who founded Fredericksburg. So in 1935, they built the Vereinskirche, and then in 1955, they began buying the buildings that we will see to become the Pioneer Museum.
What do you think sets this museum apart from all the rest?
Probably the last 20 to 30 years, we have become very conscious of trying to keep our exhibits mobile. We also leave things out just the way it was in the 1800s and early 1900s, and they can almost feel the experiences that our ancestors had living back then. We are now standing in front of the Walton Smith log cabin here on Pioneer Museum grounds. This building was moved here because it is a replica of the types of homes our ancestors would have built.
The Fredericksburg ground stands on 3 acres, displaying artifacts in 10 buildings, 4 of which are in their original spot from early Fredericksburg.
This one room would have been the entire house for an early Fredericksburg family. We have a small bed, we have the baby cradle. The mother would have spent her time spinning. Some of the men were furniture makers. They would make their own wardrobes, or shrunk as we would call them.
It was a simple but hard life back then. Oh my goodness, it is crazy to think just how hard life must have been back then and how self-resilient the people were. It just makes me appreciate life even more, and I absolutely love coming out here in Fredericksburg. But the fun wasn't over yet. This place is much more than a museum. Take a step back in time by sitting in on a German language class. 3,
4, 5, 6.
Or by trying your hand at different activities like rope making.
Well, the old timers, what they did is they took the agave plant. They used the fibers to make into the rope material, which we're going to use right here.
Needles, ropes. I mean, have you heard of tequila? I never knew rope. I mean, this agave can make so many things.
Make syrup, all kinds of
Syrup, didn't even think of that one. Here I am, alcoholic.
And you're going to do 22 revolutions
22.
clockwise,
All
okay?
right. 19, 20, 21, 22. Woo! My arms are burning already. Woo! I'm making rope, y'all.
You're really taking the 4 and you're turning them into 1 rope. Hopefully it's long enough for you to have a jump rope.
Yeah. Look at this rope, y'all. Lit us up.
It has been my pleasure to share this with you, to give you a hands-on feeling of what it was like for them when they came to Fredericksburg over 170 years ago. Auf Wiedersehen.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Good.
All right, so after a wonderful morning touring the Pioneer Museum, we decided that we're gonna, continue our day since it's a gorgeous day out, and our first stop is going to be Shandowa House.
This house was built in the 1880s, and it served as a starter home for the John Shandowas. It has never had electricity, so it gives you a real feel of historic old Fredericksburg.
In addition to the museum itself, there's also the option of taking a walking tour through historic Fredericksburg and learning more about the past of some of the town's most iconic landmark buildings.
This building is really the landmark of Fredericksburg.
And as the end of our day in Fredericksburg drew to a close, it was hard not to reflect back on the lives of those first settlers in town.
I have a German treat for you.
Thank you.
It's a traditional cookie.
Cheers. Thank you. All right, we want to send a huge thank you to the folks over at the Pioneer Museum and to Eileen for showing us around. If you've never been to Fredericksburg, you need to stop by. I highly recommend it. There's so much to see and do, and you get to learn so much about this great German town. In the meantime, we're going to see you later. Enjoy some cookies. We'll see y'all back in the studio. Want to experience the history of Fredericksburg for yourself? Visit the link below and plan your trip to Pioneer Museum today.